Well, welcome to another week of a deeper dive. Every week I take some time to record a short video and spend some time talking about something from maybe on Sunday that I didn't get to cover as deeply, or maybe didn't get to talk about at all. Right now we're studying the book of Luke, and we are in coming up on week 7 of our series on Luke. Hopefully you've been able to be with us for some of that, either in person or online. If you haven't had a chance to be a part of that, to be a part of our series in Luke, you can always check out the recordings of that either on our YouTube page or the audio recording on our website. You can go to smithfieldchristian.com and be able to check out. There's a link to both of those there on the website. So today we're going to look at another passage, obviously from the book of Luke. Now, before we get into our passage, though, there are several sections or passages of the Bible that are difficult. The Bible is unique in that it is a collection of books, and each book has a different feel, has a different purpose and intention, and even some of the books, some of the different books are different genres. Some are poetic, some are historical accounts, some are letters, and so with all of that taken into account, they kind of have different purposes behind their writing and the different things, and the way that we interpret them and understand them all plays into those different elements there of those different books. When I was in college, when I was in Bible college, I came across a book. I don't know if one of our professors recommended it or what, but it's been a book that's been on my bookshelf for a long time, and I've even bought all the other books as a part of the series of it. It's called The Hard Sayings of Paul. And in this book, now let me real quick, commentary, there's a bunch of commentaries. This shelf and this shelf are my commentaries. Then I also have a lot of commentaries on my computer, in my Bible study software. Commentaries are basically books that people have written to give commentary on biblical passages. They will break down, because let's face it, I mean, all of us, when we study the Bible, there are parts that, like, either we think we know what it's talking about, and then we read people's scholars' understanding of a text and the background stuff. It kind of illuminates us a little more, and we're like, oh, I didn't even think about that angle or know that about this situation or whatever. So those are commentaries. But then there are other books that are similar to commentaries. Typically with commentaries, like, these books are like either one book of the Bible that's a commentary on, or maybe it'll be a commentary on several different books or things like that. And so it'll kind of go verse by verse through the book of that book of the Bible. They're really great for that, to be able to help you dig in. It's not a book you sit down and you say, let me just read this tonight. It's more of a reference book. But then there are other books like this that they kind of take specific passages and pull them out and kind of examine them and dig into the background and the meaning and the purpose of them a little bit more. The cool thing is that there is also some other books. There's another book called The Hard Sayings of Jesus, The Hard Sayings of the Old Testament, The Hard Sayings of the New Testament. I've bought all those books because they're really helpful when we come up on passages that when we read them, it either confuses us, or maybe it kind of sets us back and we say, well, I don't understand how that fits in the bigger scope of the Bible or of the gospel, of the good news of Jesus. How does that work with, how does this work with one passage but not with another? And I'll explain in just a minute. It'll make a whole lot more sense. If you're not tracking with me on it just yet, it'll make a whole lot of sense. The reason I say that is because today we're going to look at a passage that is sort of an echo of something that Jesus said earlier in the book of Luke. In fact, we looked at it this past week on Sunday, when Jesus said that if anybody wants to be my disciple, they have to deny themselves, take up their cross, and follow me. And Jesus is going to, again, later on in the book of Luke, in chapter 14, say something very similar, but he kind of, he goes a little bit deeper with it, and he gets a little bit more specific, and gets a little bit more earth-shaking, ground-shaking with the way he says it in this passage. And I've had a couple people, one within past year or so, actually approached me about this passage because it was one of those times that when they read it, they were just like, I don't understand how Jesus could say that. I don't understand how Jesus could say those words and how it matches up. So let me read it. After all that setup, let me finally read it. So here we go. And this is Luke 14, verse 25. It says, large crowds were traveling with Jesus, and turning to them, he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. So he goes on then and kind of expounds a little bit more about what it means to count the cost of following Jesus, that it's a costly decision to follow. But I want to kind of hone in and really target in on the first few things he said there, specifically when he said, if anyone comes to me and doesn't hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. I remember I had a person approach me about this passage one time, and they said, I don't understand how Jesus could say that. How in the world am I supposed to hate my family? I mean, maybe sometimes we're like, okay, I can hate myself, we can understand that, but my family, I love my family. I love my kids. I love my brother and my sister. I love my parents. I love my wife. I love my husband. And we think, how in the world could Jesus ask us to hate? And this is one of those times that books like the Hard Sayings of Paul, and Hard Sayings of Jesus, that books like this really help us. And this is one of those passages that I wrestled with early on too, and had to kind of understand a little bit more. And I think when we come to this, that we have to understand that there's kind of two sides to this. On one side, yes, Jesus is being sort of, he's kind of using allegory. He's using sort of, using a big exaggeration to make a very specific point. Now, obviously, Jesus is not calling us to hate people. I mean, we are called to love. That's even like our church's mission statement, to love like Jesus. We are called to love people. And so if we kind of take this idea and this allegory, this analogy of hating, it's not so much that he just wants us to go out and hate people, but it's almost an idea of our love, our devotion for Jesus should be so great, so overwhelming, so strong of a commitment that every other relationship should pale in comparison. When people look at let's take me for example specifically. When people look at Joe Thompson and my devotion to Jesus, they should see such a strong commitment to Jesus Christ that it doesn't even, the rest of my relationships, Beth, Brennan and Allie, my parents, it's my dad's birthday, by the way, today. It does, all those relationships should pale in comparison to my relationship, my following, my running after of Jesus Christ. And so it's not a thing that we literally hate these people, but I should have such a devotion and commitment to him, because he goes on from there and talks about how it's going to cost a lot. And so that's the other side of this statement. Yes, we are to love these people around us, and our relationship should be so committed to Jesus that our other relationships should pale in comparison. But also, we've got to be careful that we don't allow those relationships to creep in and be placed on the throne. I've seen many individuals, many families that want to place their children, they want to place their spouse, they want to place someone else in their family on the throne of their life. And if you were to press them on it, they might say, well, no, they're not in charge of my life. But if you look at their schedule, if you look at their bank account, if you look at their priorities, I think you begin to see who is in control of our life, who it is that we are really following after. I once heard someone say that the best gift that a parent can give a child is for them to have a strong relationship with each other. And the idea is that, for Beth and I, the best gift we can give Brennan and Allie is for Beth and I to have a strong relationship with each other and to grow in a love for each other so that it kind of pours down into our kids. And friends, I would say that for the rest of your family, the best gift that you can give your kids, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, The best gift that you can give them is for you to have a strong relationship with God. Because if you don't have a strong relationship with God, then the rest of those relationships are going to suffer, because we're going to find ourselves pulled to those other places in our life, and we're never going to have any kind of direction or focus in our life. But if we can hone in, if we could put Jesus on the throne of our life, if we could put him as the one that we are running after, that if we could look at our schedule and see him as a priority, if we could look at our bank account and see him as a priority, if we could look at all the things of our life and see him as a priority, I promise you that all these other things will kind of fall into place. That's what Jesus meant when he said to seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added to us then. Everything else will come into place. Everything else will come in as it needs to be. Hey, we're going to continue our series this Sunday again with the book of Luke. I hope you can be there for that. Again, we'll be at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning in person or online. You can check us out always online at smithfieldchristian.online.church. I hope to see you on Sunday. If you haven't had a chance to see, maybe this is your first week with the deeper dive, then you can always jump back. In fact, I think if you're on YouTube, a little window is going to pop up right here that you can click on and see the previous episode, and maybe see some other ones like that, and be able to check those out. So anyways, hope to see you real soon, either in person or online, and I hope you have a great week and stay dry.